A Dog and Her 12 Boys. Episode 5. Loot and Quiet. The room was vast. Dead god at one end, alien loot at the other. The beast's body had begun to cool. Steam curled from its torn joints. Acid glands popped every few minutes. One eye blinked reflexively, though the brain was pulp. We didn't leave. Not yet. This was the first safe chamber in 3 floors, and it was full. Alien weapons lined the walls. Not artifacts, too crude, but old tech, ceremonial gear, maybe trophies, curved blades with resin handles, clubs with bone triggers, maces studded with petrified worms, a ray gun that sparked weakly when waved. Boy 10 grabbed it immediately, eyes lighting up like match heads. His fingers left small scorch marks on the barrel. He didn't care. His body always stank of accelerant, his own built-in fuel. He clicked the safety on and off as he sniffed the trigger. Boy 4 took a spiked shield that looked like a tortoise shell wrapped in steel wire. He thumped it with his fist twice, checking for balance, and nodded to himself. The skeletal reinforcements in his arms made no sound. Boy 7 found a spear with a glass blade and whispered something to it. It did not whisper back, but he held it anyway, posture like an arrowhead, perfectly still. He didn't glance behind him, never did, just waited for my signal. Boy 12 reached out slowly, respectfully, toward a console embedded in the wall. His palm hovered over the alien panel, trembling slightly. I felt the echo through my own spine. That console wasn't live, but he could feel it like a hum in his teeth. One by one, the boys began removing their armor. It peeled off like light. The psychic energy suits I lay over them at the start of every descent, invisible until dismissed, shivered and uncoiled. Each armor was slightly different, shaped to their gait and mental pattern. Boy 3's was tight, muscle-gloved. Boy 8's was jagged, twitchy. Boy 9's hung off him like smoke. Boy 1 took the longest. He folded his suit carefully, aligning each shimmered edge like a soldier making his bunk. He stacked it on the stone with a sigh, and I could feel his thoughts drifting back to the corridor he'd marked. Always mapping, always watching for loops. They unwrapped themselves and stacked the mental husks on a nearby stone. It hissed faintly. Then came the ritual. They set up camp the same way they always do, half feral, half military. Crates repurposed for stools. A glowing tarp nailed to a vent for overhead cover. One boy built a stew from dried fungus and protein tubes stolen 3 runs ago. Another passed around what looked like alien jerky. Tough, spicy, possibly sentient. Boy 5, who always ate with his fingers first, roasted something he swore was edible over a cracked flame unit. His nose twitched constantly, tracking scent trails through heat and air currents. The wild in him came out loudest at mealtime. He licked the thing twice before chewing. Boy 2 dislocated his shoulder to open a sealed crate. Didn't flinch, just popped it back in and handed out bottles of dark fluid. No thanks needed. That was his way. Bruised knuckles, no glory. He sat last, back to the chamber, eyes never still. Boy 6 hunched by the wall, hammer across his knees, staring at nothing. He hadn't blinked once. I checked. His mind ran like a cold engine, steady, quiet, and dangerous. Every time another boy laughed, he flinched slightly, like the sound didn't belong. Boy 11 didn't eat. He never does. He just cleaned his weapons slowly and watched the others like they were a show. I watched too. They didn't talk much. Some muttered. Some made jokes. Boy 10 held up the ray gun and pretended to vaporize Boy 2, complete with sound effects. Boy 2 responded by throwing a boot. Boy 9 chuckled once, then leaned close to an alien sensor dish he'd salvaged. He ran his fingers over the grooves and whispered back when it hissed. He wasn't talking to anyone in camp. He was listening to something else entirely. They were animals, packs, teeth and instinct and rust. But here, around heat and meat, they softened. They built a nest, not on purpose, just bodies pushed together, half asleep, sprawling. Boy 3 curled around Boy 8. Boy 4 ended up across Boy 7's legs. Boy 9 sprawled over 2 shields and snored like a machine gun. Boy 12 laid his head next to a control box and hummed low tones that made it blink erratically. He smiled in his sleep. They formed around me without thinking. I stayed alert for a while, ears open, eyes scanning. But the heat was good. The god was dead. The chamber breathed slow. One by one, they fell asleep. Except Boy 11. He did his own thing, staring blindly into the dark while still as a mouse. I was last. I twitched once, growled once, then let the tension melt from my spine. The last thing I heard before sleep was Boy 5 mumbling about stew ratios and the scent of burnt mushroom rind. The rats came at shift cycle 4. Big, hairless, mutant strain, snouts like needles, black eyes. They didn't care about the god corpse. They cared about scraps, packs of them, dozens. The boys hadn't noticed yet, but I had. I opened one eye, tasted their hunger. They slithered from the vents, all pink muscle and yellow teeth. The scent hit first, sour protein and old wire insulation. Boy 5 stirred in his sleep, lip curling. He smelled it too, somewhere deep in his dreaming lizard brain. Camp was over.